Wars and rumors of wars. Jesus warned his followers that the end would be marked by nations rising against nations. War has always carved human history, but in the last century, it reached unimaginable levels. World Wars I and II killed more than 70 million people, and the conflicts that followed in Korea, Vietnam, the Middle East, and beyond kept the world in constant turmoil. Today, the cycle hasn't stopped. News reports cover ongoing wars, while threats of nuclear weapons and superpower tensions create the constant rumor of new ones. This is exactly what Jesus described, not just open battle, but the fear and talk of conflict everywhere. Wars alone don't set the date of his return, but together with other signs, they show us a world increasingly restless, echoing his warning that the end of the age is near. Famines and plagues. Another sign Jesus gave was famine and pestilence striking the earth. History shows how often hunger has swept across nations. In the 20th century, famines in China and India each claimed millions of lives. Even today, food shortages continue in parts of Africa and Asia, worsened by war and economic collapse. Plagues have been just as relentless. The Black Death in the 14th century wiped out nearly a third of Europe's population. The Spanish flu in 1918 killed tens of millions worldwide, and more recently, COVID-19 reminded us how quickly disease can spread across every nation. Outbreaks of Ebola and new strains of influenza show how vulnerable the world still is. Famine and plague remain powerful forces, showing a world still reeling under the very conditions he foretold. Earthquakes and natural disasters. Earthquakes have taken countless lives throughout history, and in modern times, their impact is even more visible. In 1923, Japan's Great Kanto earthquake killed over 100,000 people. In 2010, Haiti was struck by a quake that left more than 200,000 dead and millions homeless. More recently, Turkey and Indonesia have faced similar devastation. But it's not just earthquakes. Natural disasters of all kinds are increasing in scale and impact. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami swept across multiple nations, killing more than 200,000. Hurricanes and wildfires now regularly cause billions in damage and uproot entire communities. Jesus warned that these events would shake the world in the lead-up to his return. Their growing intensity shows the earth in turmoil, echoing his words about the last days. False messiahs and false prophets. Jesus warned that many would come claiming to speak for God, or even claiming to be the Messiah himself. History has seen this repeatedly. In the centuries after his resurrection, false teachers spread ideas that distorted the gospel. In more recent times, cult leaders and self-proclaimed Christs have drawn crowds by promising salvation on their own terms. Even today, several men around the world openly declare that they are Jesus returned, each with devoted followers. Others don't claim his name directly, but twist his message for profit or control. These false voices mislead many, just as Jesus said they would. The rise of deceptive leaders reminds us that not every spiritual claim is true. This sign calls for discernment, showing that as his return approaches, counterfeit messages will multiply to draw people away from the truth. Persecution of believers. From the beginning, following Jesus has come with a cost. The early disciples were imprisoned, and many were killed for their faith. Jesus said this pattern would continue. His followers would be hated by all nations because of his name. That reality is still present today. In parts of the world, Christians face harassment or exile simply for believing. In others, they risk arrest or death for gathering to worship. Studies estimate that hundreds of millions of believers currently live under high levels of persecution. The hostility faced by Christians around the world is a sobering reminder that Jesus' words are being fulfilled, and that faithfulness to him often comes with opposition until the day he returns. Lawlessness and love growing cold. Jesus said that as lawlessness increased, the love of many would grow cold. This goes beyond ordinary crime. It describes a world where sin becomes celebrated and compassion fades. Today, this is easy to see. In the United States, mass shootings have become a grim routine, with tragedies like the Sandy Hook school massacre and the Las Vegas shooting leaving communities shattered. Around the world, human trafficking thrives as one of the largest criminal industries, reducing people to commodities. Corruption scandals regularly topple governments, and violent protests erupt in cities where order breaks down. At the same time, people are growing colder toward one another. Road rage and the breakdown of families show a lack of patience and care. Together, these examples capture exactly what Jesus warned. The gospel preached to all nations. In 1910, only about a quarter of the world's population had access to the Bible. Today, thanks to translation efforts and technology, Scripture exists in over 3,500 languages, covering the vast majority of people on earth. This dramatic shift is exactly what Jesus pointed to as a key sign before his return. The gospel is now preached on radio stations that beam into remote villages, streamed online into homes and closed nations, and carried on smartphones even where the Bible is banned. In places like North Korea, believers risk their lives to share smuggled scripture, while in China, millions meet in underground churches despite heavy restrictions. The progress is remarkable. This worldwide witness is not complete yet, but it shows how close we are to the fulfillment of this sign. Jerusalem, surrounded by enemies. Few cities have seen more conflict than Jerusalem. In 70 AD, Roman legions surrounded it, laying siege until the city and its temple were destroyed. A direct echo of Jesus' warning. That devastation scattered the Jewish people for centuries. In modern times, Jerusalem remains a flashpoint. Since Israel's rebirth in 1948, the city has faced repeated wars. The Arab-Israeli War of 1948, the Six-Day War of 1967, and ongoing clashes with neighboring groups and nations. Even today, Jerusalem sits at the center of international debate, with protests and rising tension whenever its status is challenged. The Bible describes the city as a burden to the nations, and history confirms it. From ancient sieges to present-day conflicts, Jerusalem has been surrounded by enemies again and again, a clear reminder of the prophetic role it plays in the signs of the end. Cosmic signs in the sky. Throughout history, people have looked to the heavens for meaning, but the Bible points to dramatic events in the sky as a sign of the end. Jesus said the sun would be darkened, the moon would fail to give its light, and the stars would fall. Some moments have already stirred attention. In 1833, a meteor shower over North America lit up the sky with tens of thousands of falling stars in one night, leading many to think prophecy was being fulfilled. More recently, the series of 4 blood moons in 2014 to 2015 sparked discussion when each coincided with Jewish feast days. While these may be foreshadowings rather than the final event, they remind us that cosmic signs will not be subtle. The heavens themselves will one day be shaken, leaving no doubt that the return of Christ is near. The Abomination of Desolation. The prophet Daniel described a future act of desecration in the temple, and Jesus pointed to it as a key sign of the end. History gives us previews of what this looks like. In 167 BC, the Seleucid king Antiochus Epiphanes set up an altar to Zeus in the Jewish temple and sacrificed a pig on it, an outrage to Israel. In 70 AD, Roman forces carried their pagan standards into the temple courts before destroying it, another echo of Daniel's warning. Many believe a final fulfillment still lies ahead. Scripture speaks of a man of lawlessness who will exalt himself as God, profaning a holy place. Some view this as an antichrist figure desecrating a future rebuilt temple in Jerusalem. Past events give us a picture, but Jesus treated this as a sign still to come. Restoration of Israel. For nearly 2,000 years, the Jewish people were scattered across the world with no homeland of their own. Then, in 1948, something remarkable happened. Israel was reborn as a nation. Many Christians see this as the fulfillment of Jesus' parable of the fig tree, which pointed to Israel's restoration as a sign of the last days. Since then, the world has watched Israel closely. In 1967, during the Six-Day War, Jerusalem was brought back under Jewish control for the first time since ancient times. Today, Israel remains surrounded by hostility, yet continues to thrive as a modern state. This return to the land is unprecedented in history. No other nation has been scattered so long and then re-established. The survival and restoration of Israel stand out as a powerful reminder that biblical prophecy is unfolding and that the stage is being set for what comes next. The Great Tribulation. Jesus spoke of a coming time of distress unlike anything the world has ever seen. He called it the Great Tribulation, a period of intense suffering and judgment leading directly to his return. History has seen dark chapters, from the fall of Jerusalem in 70 AD to world wars and genocides, but Scripture points to a time even more severe. Passages in Revelation describe famine and violence on a global scale. While interpretations differ, many believe events such as global conflict or the rise of an Antichrist figure will mark this period. Whatever the details, the tribulation will expose the full weight of human rebellion and prepare the world for Christ's final victory. It is the last and most sobering sign before his second coming. And that wraps up every major sign of Jesus' second coming explained. If this helped you see how prophecy connects with history and what's happening today, give it a like, subscribe for more breakdowns on Christianity and the Bible, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's next.